It's 13.2.9. It's not able to get out of the driveway by itself. It's not a good start.
Army turned 250 this year, and what better gift is there for the old girl than World War III? Just in time for the 4th of July, too. You know, in a way, mushroom clouds are the biggest fireworks of all. Some would say that I'm overreacting here. They'd say, look, this is America. We do this all the time. Our presidents bomb brown countries. It's one of their favorite things to do. That, jerking off bankers, and spoiling Israel like a rich teenager after a divorce. And to that I say, okay, sure. But all those other times, there was at least some semblance of competent military leadership involved. Like right now, there's already been reports that Pete Hegseth, you know, the Secretary of Defense, is such a known screw-up that he might have been kept out of the loop on this operation. Yeah, I heard they tried to keep him out, but old Hegseth busted up in the situation room, double-fisting fireballs. Like, did somebody say getting bombed? Oh, you guys meant actual bomb. I'm into that. That's fine. Let me just text the boys real quick. Like, the prospect of World War III would be terrifying no matter who was in charge, but with this regime at the helm, it makes a man want to start digging a hole in his yard and stockpiling canned meat. You know what I'm saying? But again, they say, oh, it won't come to all that. We're not even at war with Iran. We're at war with their nuclear weapons program. The thing is, U.S. intelligence has repeatedly affirmed they do not have a nuclear weapons program, to which Trump responded, well, intelligence is wrong, which could be the title of his memoir/coloring book. And now here we all are. They're really doing it. They're really running with the weapons of mass destruction approach again. Yeah, well, to borrow the words of the man himself, fool me can't be fooled again. All right, like, we ain't buying that, okay? Like, nope, nobody in the majority of America's people on both sides have no interest in this war. And unlike 2003, there's not the still fresh wound of a national tragedy fueling irrational bloodlust. No. Americans in 2025's irrational bloodlust is fueled by means. Thank you very much. But either way, I just don't see the public support for this war, even from chunks of MAGA. Like, this is such an insane idea that Tucker Carlson and Bernie Sanders are in complete agreement on it. Nearly everyone in this country hates this and thinks it's terrible, which is exactly how you know what Trump's response will be. Double down and make it worse, which could be the subtitle of his memoir/coloring book. But either way, we all know that public support doesn't matter anymore and the will of the people is irrelevant, and this de facto dictatorship of ours seems hell-bent on speed-running Armageddon for dummies. But other than that, how's everybody's summer going? Going good? No, YouTube, it really does feel like we have to be hyper vigilant these days. You never know when a new bad thing is going to come up, even in your personal life. The other day I got a phone call from a complete stranger who was reaming me out because they don't like the things I say on the internet. I was like, how'd they even get my phone number? My wife said they probably just Googled it. I was like, you can't do that. She said, give it a shot. So I went and Googled my name and contact info, and I couldn't believe what popped up. Email, regular address, phone number. It was shocking, but then I thought about it and it kind of makes sense. To anyone who cares about the security, bad you are at computer stuff, an antivirus software, password, you can try Aura today. It's just a little tactical military exploding. That's all this is. I don't know why you would call it war. It's just a very, very lethal and profound military strike on a sovereign nation. Okay, it's not an act of war. It's us doing a thing that's good. It's not the same thing. Now, of course, obviously, goes without saying, any kind of tactical military exploding that was done to America would immediately be seen as an act of war, and rightfully so. But this is the difference. It's different because when we do it, it's good. It's a good thing. That's in the Bible. You should read the Bible. If you didn't know that, you should check the Bible. But yeah, like, they know the justifications don't make any sense. They don't give a shit. The nuclear part. They were like, intelligence has been saying Iran is not making a nuclear weapon for 20-something years. And the U.S.'s response was like, more than 20 years ago, they were like, hey, you start making a nuclear weapon, they're going to bomb the shit out of you. And they're like, oh, okay, well, all right, well, then we won't then. 20 years later, like, you making a nuclear weapon? Nope, we're still not. Like, bomb the shit out of them. And I don't like their attitude. Right? It's like, what bombed if you do, bombed if you don't. Like, where does that leave Iran? What are their options here? What choices do they have? It's like, it's like if you were getting bullied in middle school, and your bully came over to you and he's like, hey, I heard you're going to learn karate, defend yourself, right? You learn karate, I'm going to beat your ass. You're like, okay. A couple days later, he comes up, he's like, you learn karate? Nope, still no. It's like, I asked around. They said you're not learning karate either. And he just bitch slaps the hell out of it. He's like, I mean, don't you even think about learning karate. I'll whip your ass even worse if you learn karate. You're going to be thinking to yourself, like, man, I'm kind of thinking I should learn karate. It's just, in this case, karate is like, nuclear ICBMs and stuff. But I just don't know. I don't know what they're trying to incentivize here. I don't know that they even care, and it doesn't matter. They just saw Israel having all the fun and had to finally dive into it with them. Also, by the way, what Israel? What the? Do you not have enough on your plate, guys? It seemed to me that you guys were pretty busy lately, like pretty full, murder schedule you already had going. I don't know how they find the time in the day to keep bombing and murdering different types of civilians and people and sovereign nations around. I thought, like, at a certain point, you got to be kind of maxed out on your murder capacity, don't you? I mean, I guess maybe not when you have our backing, the backing of America's military, but still, it's like, don't you guys think you should maybe just finish one thing? Actually, don't. Never mind. Don't listen to that. I don't want y'all to finish shit. I'm just saying, like, Israel needs to chill the fuck out. I know that's I'm going out on a limb there. I know that's a controversial stance for a lot of people to take, but I, for one, think that Israel's a little bit out of control, and I don't appreciate it. All right, they need to fucking chill. And now they've roped us into their shit with them, and I'm not blaming them. This is our own lunatic commander-in-chief's fault. But either way, I'm not feeling good about it. It's not looking good, but I'm gonna keep hollering into the void for as long as I can, I reckon. Thank you guys for watching. I'll put these things up here if you want a nice distraction. Watch my special here, Trash Daddy. Even if you watch it again. It's funny. It's fun. It's a good time. You can subscribe to the channel, get all these videos and other videos I do, like cooking videos every now and then, and stand-up clips and stuff like that, podcasts. And the most important one for me, the other, TreyCrowder.com. That's my website where you can find links to my tour dates. I tour as a stand-up comedian, so check them out. If I'm coming near your city, you don't have to buy a ticket, come see me. It's a fun time. If you like these, you'll like that. It's not exactly the same, but it's a good time. It's good times, fun stuff. Either way, have a fun night out, but whatever. If you keep watching these, I'll keep making them. That's all that matters. I love you like chicken. Hang in there, everybody. See you out.
Straight in with our main story tonight, which concerns a piece of legislation dear to President Trump's heart.
The One Big Beautiful Bill is among the most important pieces of legislation in our country's history. I don't think there's ever been anything bigger. And I said, let's make it one big, beautiful bill. We're voting essentially on the big, beautiful, that gorgeous, big, beautiful bill.
Stop it. Stop it right now. The One Big Beautiful Bill sounds either like a lumberjack with an OnlyFans page or a Pornhub tab for people who come to toucans, but it is truly massive, and it's currently moving through Congress after passing the House by the narrowest of margins.
With cheers of USA, House Republicans passed their sweeping version of the president's agenda. Republicans in the House held 2 overnight sessions. In the end, Speaker Johnson eked out his biggest victory yet, winning by a single vote, though the dark of night cost him. One member who would have voted yes overslept and missed it.
It's true, it passed by a single vote, even though one representative, Andrew Garbarino, slept through it, which is a little surprising given his official portrait seems less sleepy and more high on expired cough medicine. The bill's currently in the Senate, and Trump is pushing them to pass their version as soon as possible, posting, "To my friends in the Senate, lock yourself in a room if you must. Don't go home. Pass it immediately. No one goes on vacation until it's done." This whole process has been rushed to the point that some House members who voted for the bill later had to admit that they hadn't read all of it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, arguably one of the worst things to come out of Georgia since the Trail of Tears, was upset when she learned the House version included a provision prohibiting states from restricting AI for the next 10 years.
This past week, I have come out in full transparency and said, when I voted for the One Big Beautiful Bill, I didn't know about this clause.
Yeah, that's not great, although to be fair, who among us hasn't approved things that we haven't read properly? It's why none of you noticed Apple's new terms and conditions technically give them rights to your firstborn child. It is true, Tim Cook is pulling a Rumpelstiltskin right now, and he's coming for them as soon as they can hold a tiny little screwdriver. But a lot of people don't know what's in this bill. About 2/3 of the public say they've heard little or nothing about it, but when they do, they don't like it. As polls show, those who've heard a great deal or good amount about it oppose it by a roughly 2-to-1 margin. Even some Senate Republicans will admit that not all their colleagues are thrilled about the bill's contents.
We could spend 4 weeks, we could spend 4 years, and when we're done, not every Republican senator is going to want a French kiss this final product. It's just not going to happen.
That is such a weird way to phrase that. Why would you force us all to imagine lawmakers tonguing a stack of paper? Well, as regular viewers know, Kennedy loves gratuitous sex talk, from inserting the phrase, "I like omelets better than sex," into a discussion about, and this is true, USAID cuts, to this memorable moment.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth.
Always good. And it is important to remember that in the records of Congress, there is an answer to the question, what if Foghorn Leghorn was a power bottom? Look, as of taping, the bill still needs to clear the Senate and then go back to the House, and things are still coming in and out of it. But the broad contours are clear. It is a massive redistribution of wealth upward, accompanied by gigantic cuts to critical programs for the most vulnerable. So given that tonight, let's talk about the one big beautiful bill, what it contains and what it will actually do. And let's start with the fact, when Trump talks about this bill, the main thing he emphasizes is that it will extend the tax cuts Republicans passed in 2017 and add some more, which he claims will be good for everyone. The White House recently said it will deliver a blue-collar boom, all caps. It sounds like a new special at IHOP tied to the Smurfs movie that'll make you immediately shit yourself. But that is more than a little misleading, because while the bill does contain tax cuts for basically everyone, their benefits are massively concentrated among the wealthiest Americans. In fact, 60% of the tax cuts would go to the top 20% of households. And you should know, just about every independent analysis agrees this bill would add trillions to the national debt. And to the extent the bill's tax cuts are going to be paid for at all, it'll be through slashing programs that benefit the poor. And I want to talk about two key areas they're targeting: healthcare and food assistance. When it comes to healthcare, there are lots of cuts, both big and small. For instance, the bill fails to extend tax credits for healthcare premiums under the ACA, while adding burdensome paperwork that would make it hard for people to remain on the plans they already have. And I know that might not sound like much to you, but it's estimated those tweaks alone will lead to 4.2 million people becoming uninsured, which makes them pretty consequential tweaks. It'd be like changing RuPaul's Drag Race to Rand Paul's Drag Race. You can call it just a tweak, but it's about to make everything way worse. But the big target here is Medicaid, the public insurance program providing health coverage to, among others, people with low incomes and disabilities. Though this bill's defenders will insist Medicaid is safe.
I'm going to say this very clearly. Our legislation preserves Medicaid, strengthens Medicaid for the people who actually need it and deserve it.
Look, we're going to do everything we can to strengthen Medicaid, to preserve it for those who need it the most.
Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched. Nothing. I want to have to.
Okay, but there's a few problems there, starting with the fact following through on a promise not to touch something has never exactly been one of Trump's strong suits. Also, the math just doesn't support those claims. As one analysis puts it, major Medicaid cuts are the only way to meet House budget resolution requirements. And the big way this bill tries to do that is by adding work requirements for many low-income recipients who got coverage under Medicaid expansion, effectively removing a lot of them from the rolls. Basically, under the bill, to get Medicaid, they'd have to prove they worked, volunteered, or went to school for 80 hours a month. That alone is projected to cause over 5 million Americans to lose coverage by the end of the decade. Though to hear Mike Johnson tell it, that's just not a problem, because they're just targeting one specific group.
You don't want able-bodied workers on a program that is intended, for example, for single mothers with 2 small children who's just trying to make it. That's what Medicaid is for, not for 29-year-old males sitting on their couches playing video games. We're going to find those guys and we're going to send them back to work.
Okay, 29-year-old males sitting on the couch playing video games? How is it possible that Mike Johnson always sounds so old and out of touch while also managing to look like a 12-year-old who dressed up as Stephen Colbert for Halloween? The problem with that argument is that most Medicaid enrollees are working. The most recent data shows that nearly 2 in 3 work. And most of the rest have a disability, are caring for family members, or are attending school. And yet, Republicans won't stop painting lurid scenarios of Medicaid freeloaders. For instance, here's the current head of Medicare and Medicaid services, who, remember, is inexplicably Dr. Oz, unloading the single weirdest hypothetical you will ever hear in your life.
Here's the metaphor. You get home at night, blue, and there's someone sitting on your couch in the basement. You don't know them. But they have health insurance that you're paying for. And you say, listen, to keep this health insurance, I want you to apply for a job. You don't have to work. Just apply for a job, go get an education, volunteer somewhere, be involved in the community, or take care of one of the kids in the family, help out a little bit. If they say no, you say, well, I'm taking your insurance away. That's not an unreasonable deal to make.
Okay, let's just pause together for a moment and unpack what he just described. In that scenario, You get home at night to find a complete stranger sitting on your couch in your basement. Naturally, the first thing they say is, "Hi, I have health insurance that you're paying for." But instead of screaming and immediately calling 911, you calmly say, "Okay, person I've never seen before, I'll let you keep the health insurance I just found out I'm paying for without asking who you are or how you got into my house. My one and only requirement is that you apply for a job. You can use my Wi-Fi, as apparently you live in my basement now, and that's a reality I've quickly accepted. Or you can go get an education or volunteer or take care of one of my kids. Naturally, I trust you, a complete stranger, unexpectedly in my home with the lives of my children." And then this individual says, "No, that doesn't seem reasonable to me." So you say, "Okay, well, you leave with no other option. I'm going to have to take your insurance away. Obviously, you can still live in my house. That goes without saying, you're family now. But you'll have to find a way to pay for your own health insurance. That's not an unreasonable deal to make." But honestly, the weirdness of that scenario is actually preferable to what it sounds like when Dr. Oz gives you a glimpse into what he really thinks work requirements are for.
I have confidence in the American people. You give people a chance to work, and we know we have twice as many jobs as there are people looking for them. Go out there, do the entry-level jobs, get into the workforce, prove that you matter, get agency into your own life. It's a much more enjoyable experience if you're going through life thinking that you control your destiny, and you'll get better insurance at the same time.
Hold on, prove that you matter? So a person only means something if they work. That is not true at all. In fact, if ever there were proof that you can work for decades while adding exactly zero value to society, it is Dr. Oz himself, who, as we have mentioned before, once did an episode of his show where he asked Cameron Diaz this.
Has this ever happened to you?
Luckily, no, I'm not a girl that gets constipated.
That is the perfect facial response to that. That was on daytime television. That played in restaurants and waiting rooms. And as if work requirements weren't bad enough, many are worried that federal cuts to Medicaid will mean that states are likely to cut things like home and community-based supports, which will have huge consequences for those who rely on those services to literally keep them alive, as they have been trying to make people understand.
20% of Erie County residents receive Medicaid services, including more than 100,000 children. But that funding is now in jeopardy. Advocates for people with disabilities say cuts to Medicaid could mean cuts to home health care, services that literally enable some residents to get out of bed each day.
I really truly believe that without Medicaid, without my direct care workers, my personal care assistants, I would be dead.
Yeah, that woman clearly deserves to have healthcare that keeps her alive, even in the insane theoretical situation that she somehow moved into someone's basement with no warning, which, to be clear, has never happened to anyone and never will. That would still be the case. And as if that weren't bad enough, and it really is, it is worth noting people not on Medicaid will be affected too, as it's a major source of funding for hospitals across the country. So with these cuts, rural hospitals are likely to be forced to reduce the services they offer, cut staff, or close altogether. And when you take all of the bill's provisions concerning healthcare together, the CBO estimates they'll result in 16 million more uninsured people in the year 2034 than would otherwise be the case. And it is not like people haven't tried to warn Republicans of the consequences here. A few weeks ago, we showed you this clip of Joni Ernst delivering a bonkers response to concerned constituents at a town hall.
People are not, well, we all are going to die. For heaven's sakes, folks.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But incredibly, it's still not as bad as the sarcastic follow-up video that she posted the next day.
Hello everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall. I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the Tooth Fairy as well.
What the fuck is wrong with you? First, did you actually drive to a cemetery for your fun little video there? And second, no one was under the impression that we're all immortal, nor do we think the Tooth Fairy is real, nor indeed the Easter Bunny. Now, do I happen to believe that leprechauns exist? Yes, but that's because of a personal experience I once had in Dublin. I don't want to get into it now. Suffice to say, I'm down one pot of gold and I know what I should. But in any case, the problem isn't being naive to the concept of death. It's that this bill could make people die sooner than they otherwise would. So, that is healthcare. What about the other crucial programme on the chopping block here involving food? Well, this bill also includes massive cuts to SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Programme, or food stamps. Currently, more than 41 million people receive benefits through it. It's the nation's largest food aid programme. And this bill would reduce federal spending on SNAP by $287 billion over 10 years. Like the Medicaid cuts, a lot of that is being done through